2, 1, action. Here we go. You know the drill. The records are now open. Welcome to another episode of Akashic Answers with Emily, where we are going to jam here together for the next 30-45 minutes, bringing in intelligence from the Akashic records to support you, to help you heal, to help you tap into higher levels of genius. So if this is the first time you are here, let me know that you're a first timer. And allow me to introduce myself. I'm Emily Harrison, founder, director of the Akashic Academy, where we are working with visionaries and thought leaders around the globe, training them on how to escape the confines, the restrictions of ordinary mind, and tap into extraordinary levels of creative genius so that we can positively impact the planet here together through the Akashic records. The records hold all details throughout the space-time continuum, every piece of information about you, about your relationships, about your businesses, about planet Earth, about the government, about everything, every single thing, person, place, thing has an Akashic record. And this Akashic record is the realm of consciousness where every detail of our past, our present, all possible futures exist as a matrix of information exists. And when we learn how to shift our consciousness and tap into this realm and ask questions, we can download any intelligence that we need that will support us in our life. So think about how having access to every detail of your life, past, present, future, the whys, the hows, think about how that could support you and could potentially be a game changer for you, especially if you're stuck in a pattern that's causing you, hi Tina, hi Patty, causing you to be sick, causing you to be in a state of lack when it comes to your finances or resources or ideas on how to shift your life and help the planet. We are designed to be creative beings. And if you're not tapped into your creativity, your inner artist, I can almost guarantee you that you are unfulfilled in life in some form or fashion. Even if you don't think of yourself as artsy fartsy, you just incarnating here in human form, you did this to experience yourself as the creator being that you are, to experience yourself as God consciousness, God, Goddess, the ultimate creator. And I can guarantee you, you are here to create something in your life, for the planet, legacy. And we need to return our access to the Akashic record so that we have instantaneous ability to tap God consciousness, God mind, for wisdom, guidance, and clarity about everything that's happening in our life. Say hello once you get here. Please light up my chat box with hellos. And in addition to saying hello, please let us know where you are tuning in from. And I want to invite you into the first activation. That activation is the awareness that we are all conductors of this consciousness of intelligence. The God life force energy is pulsing through you in this very moment. And as we begin to imagine and envision ourselves as these pinpoints of light, the grid that connects us all begins to light up. And we experience ourselves in connected consciousness, in oneness, in a way that will change your life. And I can't give poetic enough words. You just have to experience it. And you experience it by playing along. Say hello once you get here and let us know where you're from. It's not that hard, people. Thank you all. Ibrahim, Terry, Kathy, Nora, Susan, Taylor, Patty, Kathy, Lisa, yes, Susan, thank you all for playing along. Jamie, I see you. Georgie, I see you. I am coming to you from the High Sierras, Reno, Nevada, and I'm excited to bring you into this experience that we get to have together today. Now, I want to give you some tips on how to get the most out of this experience. First of all, pat yourself on the back for following the intuition that brought you into this space. Your higher self has made sure that you have shown up here in this sacred classroom in order to receive intelligence, to receive perspective, an idea. You do not have to agree with the perspective. So I'm going to say some crazy things today. Maybe use some funny voices and funny accents. Because I'm an actress turned psychic. I used to be an actress before I did this. Don't worry, you're in good hands. I want it to be fun up in here too. Our consciousness, our expansion needs to be fun. It needs to feel like an adventure. You need to laugh a lot while you're all up in here with me. Okay. But I am going to channel through some intelligence that might sound a little out of left field, hopefully a lot out of left field, hopefully makes you go, whoa, I never thought of that way. Your job is not to agree or disagree, but it's to engage in new thought, to invite a flow of new thought flowing into your frequency. That's your job as you're up in here today. Think of things new, and you will take that energy with you, and you will think of and begin to see so many aspects of your life from a new perspective. That will get you unstuck in whatever area of your life you are stuck. You will become unstuck if you begin looking at things differently. Make sense? Send some love, likes, hearts across the screen if that's making sense. The other thing that I want to share with you is that the intelligence builds on itself. I don't know what's going to come in yet today. I want to thank you all because your guides do know what's coming in. Your higher self is what's calling forward the intelligence that we're going to receive today. And it's based on your questions. This show simply does not exist. This sacred container does not exist without each of you showing up every week and participating. I love you too, Kathy. So I want you to know that your questions are going to bring forward the intelligence. So get those questions typing in to the comments there. Any area where you have a question about your life. I will not get, you can't hear me. Tina says she can't hear me. If anybody else can't hear me, let me know and I'll check the mic. Yeti says it's on. Let me know in the comments if you can hear me or not. Tina says she cannot hear me. We want to make sure that we can all hear. Somebody let me know in the comments if you can hear or not. The hello from Vancouver Island. I see you, D. Can you hear me? Nora says I can hear you. Can hear you. Can hear you. Awesome. All right. So Tina, if you cannot hear, first thing, simple thing, turn up the volume. Make sure your volume's up. Otherwise, we're going to hold space that a new idea is going to drop into your mind, Tina. You're going to be able to click around on some things so that you can hear. Maybe go out of the broadcast and come back in. That might work for you too, Tina. Holding space. Shell baby in the house. Hear me loud and clear. All right. Yes, Taylor's getting the questions coming up in there. Love it. Keep those questions rolling. Even if I do not answer your question live here on this broadcast, you will have intelligence drop in. I might be addressing someone else's question, but if the information rings true to you, accept that as your message. Your guides are talking to you through the channeling. And the information is going to build on itself. So when we get to the end of this broadcast today, there's going to be a massive amount of information that has snowballed, built on itself from the start to the finish. So I'm going to invite you to stay for the whole broadcast. Trust that your higher self brought you into this space for a reason. And trust that if you stay for the whole broadcast, you are going to get what you came for. All right. Before we dive in and start answering questions, which I'm going to go with Taylor's question first. Thank you, Taylor. We're going to come right back. I also want to make sure each one of you are invited into the ether. Personal invitation to join us inside the ether. The ether is a low investment community membership where you can be amongst other visionaries and thought leaders who are doing the work to keep your vibrational frequency high so that you can stay in a state of miracle consciousness. So you can get out of where you're stuck and you can tap into higher levels of creativity and genius to innovate and shift your life. This has been, Jamie says, definitely join the ether. It's been life-changing for me. It's relatively new. We launched it in January. And I can say that as I have been downloading, first of all, what the whole vision of the ether and what the community looks like, I'm also obviously participating in it. And my human is very, very grateful for the extra support that we're getting from the higher frequencies in that space to stay in a frequency of miracle consciousness. crazy shit happening all up in here from being a part of the ether. So I want to make sure that you all have that invitation. Kathy, if you are watching, please plug that in, that link in. And Kathy, if you are not here yet, I will go back in and plug it in when I get there. But you can find it. Go to the akashicacademy.com and click the drop-down menu. You'll find it. Or if you want me or my team to reach out to you personally, just type the ether in the comments now and we will circle back. Okay. Going into Taylor's question, I am stuck on opening up my true abilities. I know I have ancestry in this realm, but don't know them. So I don't even know where to start. Well, thank you so much for this. If you can relate, if you feel like there is something more for you in this lifetime, but you don't know where to start tapping in, send some love, likes, hearts across the screen right now. I can definitely remember being in this space and needing a community where I could be a part of something bigger. So again, ether is a physical thing that you can do that is a great place to start. But let me bring in some insight from the records about what's going on for you here, Taylor. Okay, so like many people here on the planet, and this just went out in the ether earlier today, the age of the guru is over. So having game changers that come in and shift the entire trajectory of consciousness for the planet, these avatars that look like Jesus, Yeshua, that look like Gandhi, that look like Lao Tzu, that look like Buddha. This isn't what it looks like anymore to have ascended masters coming to the earth and teaching others to make a great change on the planet. That served a purpose in the previous era. The era that we're in right now looks like the everyman, looks like you coming into your own self-leadership. You're your own Jesus, you're your own Buddha, you're your own Lao Tzu, you're your own Mother Teresa. So we all have to begin to see ourselves, even if we've incarnated from this everyman kind of experience. You might be similar to me. I was born into the geographical location on this planet in a really small town. And that's what it looks like. It looks like we're born into really human conditions. Okay, I was not born into a bloodline of royalty where everyone is naturally listening to me and what I'm saying. There's a cultivation of leadership, of self-expression, of artistry, of unique genius that each one of us must undergo and then begin to share that with the planet. And if we don't know that this is what it looks like to have, before this incarnation, agreed to show up as a human and get to know ourselves and step out in a really big way, make big change and impact on the planet, we're naturally going to shy away from it. So the first thing that the guides are saying right now is tap into the bigger story. So many of us, the permission to play this big role in our lives has been beaten out of us. Either we've been beaten down by life, we've had too many experiences of failure, too much rejection, and we're like, oh, it feels better just to play small here in my little corner space. I'm just going to play small. I'm confused. If you're feeling confused, this is a symptom of playing small. It's self-sabotage. And yeah, I get, like, confusion feels very real when you're in it, but I promise you, it's a self-sabotage checkout mechanism that humans use that causes not to have to move forward. The records will give you very specific wisdom, guidance, clarity, so you never have to be confused again. Confused means that your vibration has dropped too low and your field is distorted. You no longer have access to pristine knowingness. Every single person on the planet has intuition, and intuition is your ability to know something instantly, and that goes away if you spend too much time around negative people, negative self-talk, toxins in our environment. All of those things distort your field. So Taylor, inviting yourself back into the epic story is step one. Step two, put guards up in your field, even if they're just energetic guards. and start paying attention to how you're talking to yourself. Am I encouraging myself? Am I telling myself I can do it? Am I setting myself up for success? Am I meditating every day? If you're not meditating every day, forget it. The field will be so distorted for you. You will continue. This is a collective you, by the way, not just Taylor, because I'm getting in that preachy mode. Taylor, I don't want you to think I'm coming down on you too hard. Okay. This is me coming down hard on everybody, including myself, the collective you. But if we're not doing the work to meditate every day, what happens is we're not giving our mind the opportunity to close the loops, because you have natural thought loops that are going. And if you don't shut these down, you're not going to give yourself the option for pure thought. And you don't have to meditate a lot. I do 5 minutes about 3 times a day. All right, send some love, likes, hearts across the screen if this is resonating with you. Okay. The other thing that can be really helpful, especially if you're just beginning and you feel like I don't really know where to start with basics. Start with communication. How do I communicate with my higher self? How do I communicate with the Akashic records? It's through your psychic senses. And this can be somewhat mystical, still too mystical. Your psychic senses happen through your third eye, and they happen in your imagination. So it definitely feels like you're making things up. If in the beginning when you're starting, that's what it feels like. Okay. And I'm hearing some information from the guides come in that I want to share to clarify. And that is, there are some people who are born into this planet with their psychic senses on and intact. That aspect of their DNA has not been shut off. And that definitely can run in families. But even if you weren't born into this planet with all of your psychic senses intact, I was not. I spent time to turn mine on. You can still turn yours on. But if you're like me and you're coming in this everyman sort of role to play, and you weren't necessarily born with all your psychic abilities intact, or you weren't brought up in a family where it was proper and okay to use them at the dinner table, right? This is going to be a new paradigm of society where we're encouraging our children to really follow and tap into their intuition and to develop it and to hone it and harness this energy. But we're making that shift. But many of us who are here right now, we're on the cusp of this shift. So there are unique challenges that we experience when we're not born with these intelligences on. So we can start turning them on, but it requires you to use your imagination. And many times in the beginning, it will feel like you're making things up. But it's important that you begin to learn how your inner psychic senses work. And there are simple exercises that you can do every day. They take like 15 seconds where you're using your imagination that will begin to connect you with a communication, a language that you can begin talking and getting information from your higher self, from your guides, from your Akashic records, whatever you want to call it. Higher forms of intelligence. And here's the thing. These higher forms of intelligence, it's really you. It's you, it's God. Even though we as humans personify it as Archangel Michael or the Palladian Collective or Raphael or Melchizedek or Thoth or any of the high level guides or masters, Jesus, Yeshua. When we incarnate here on this planet, we are incarnating as individual aspects of the God, the source personality. God, source, goddess energy is all one. It's all the same thing. But when there's no contrast, we don't know the difference between the characteristics, the cool characteristics of God that show up in Archangel Michael, or the cool characteristics of Raphael, the healer, that show up. So we separate these characteristics so that we can isolate and know them more. Like, think of a recipe. Think of spices. If you have a big old stew where you use every single spice on the planet, they all mix together and there's no individual nuance to understand. Ooh, this is cinnamon. Ooh, this is hot peppers. Ooh, this is paprika, one of my personal favorites. Ooh, this is cracked pepper. right? So we need to understand or have an experience in separation so that we can isolate characteristics to understand them more deeply. But really, your higher self, God, your guides, masters, archangels, guardian angels, it's all the same thing. It's all you. So just to give that understanding of how the intelligence begins to flow in. So you're not actually going outside of yourself for knowledge, but you are tapping into a higher frequency perspective that you can have, because when you incarnate as a separate aspect of the God personality, aka human, in order to experience life on the third dimensional reality where there's density, we lower our vibrational frequency. And lower doesn't mean bad, it means slower. Because when we are just light beings, you try to pick up this delicious cup of coffee right here and your hand go right through it and you're like, damn it, I want to taste the delicious coffee. They said the coffee was so good here on earth. But I can't taste it because I can't pick up the glass. What we do as humans is we lower our vibrational frequency or our bandwidth so that we are a match, so that when I reach my hand out and I grab a hold of the glass, I can actually pick it up. It's actually a mug. It's one of my favorite coffee mugs. Although some of you have busted me for Starbucks. I got totally lit up one time for drinking Starbucks because someone called it Illuminati juice, and I felt very judged. I didn't know at that point in time that Starbucks was Illuminati juice. But again, it is important. It's important to recognize the storylines that are here on this planet. But again, just like everything is God, even the bad guys who are here, the distortions, the toxins, the toxicity, the darkness, it's all informing the light. The only reason we have darkness and polarity and toxins and all of that shit here on the planet is because it's a polar planet. There's light, dark, there's north, south pole. And it's this separation, it's this polarity, it's this contrast that allows us to learn, which is why Earth is such a high level university of consciousness here in the galaxy, because we can learn so much. Okay. If you would like help activating your psychic senses, type psychic in the comments, and we will circle back with a free training for you that will share these exercises that you all can do. And let's grab an activation for any of us who are feeling like we don't know where to start. Ooh, oh, this is a fun one. Cool. I see you, Lisa. Anybody else who wants? Yep, I see you, Nora Taylor. Awesome. We'll circle back and get that for you. Let's send some love, lights, hearts across the screen, by the way, for Taylor for sharing this, or for calling forward this intelligence. If you got something great out of that, good. I did too. Send some loves across the screen for Taylor. All right. So here's the activation that we're going to do for anybody who doesn't know where to start. I want you to sit up nice and straight. Feel your feet connected to the ground. And I want you to send your consciousness into the point where you are feeling your big toe. We're going to get really specific on where our consciousness is right now, where your big toe meets the ground. Feel that. This is allowing us to move our energy down. It's like, honey, I shrunk the kids. I'm shrinking all the way down into this very microcosmic point in the space-time continuum that is my starting point. Okay, I just realized I was feeling kind of both big toes. Go to one big toe. Go to your right big toe. Right big toe. And feel where your right big toe is connected to the ground. And as your consciousness is present in this dot, this point on the time-space continuum, see if you can feel into this energy, acknowledging it as your starting point. This is my starting point. This is where I start. And see of all of the different places you could bring your consciousness in the body, we found one place to pinpoint a start. This is creating a template that is going to allow you to find your starting point. It's going to have a certain vibrational frequency. It's your job to recognize it when it pops into your head. You will likely hear your guides, your Akash say, do this. It's your job to recognize that. And if you're too busy, you got too much going on, it's going to sound like all the rest of your thoughts running through your head. And not all of your thoughts are illuminated thoughts. All right. Thank you for that. Sending some love, likes, hearts across the screen. I'm going to go back in and grab another question now. Okay, good. Yeah. Taylor says, I have the tendency of subconsciously telling myself I'm not enough, and I don't even realize I'm doing it. Yep. So often. Let's actually, Taylor, let's bring in another activation around that, as I feel like that's going to be really important for so many people, telling ourselves that we're not enough. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to rub the hands together, create a little friction in the hands, everybody. Place them on the head. Nice, slow, deep breaths. This is going to allow us, and I want you to imagine light moving through your hands, illuminating all of your thoughts. And I want you to set an intention to catch yourself when you are subconsciously telling yourself that you're not enough. I want you to be able to notice those thoughts when they come in. Notice those thoughts. So we're illuminating the thoughts so that when those thoughts come up, we're like, oh, I saw that. I saw you try to self-sabotage right there, Emily, and say you weren't enough. So the first thing is to realize when we're doing it. So this is giving us the illumination when we're to know when we're doing it. Good. Now let me tap in and see what the guides want to bring through in terms of how do we negotiate with that? How do we clear it? How do we take the charge out of it? Okay, there are two options. One is to, as Cryon says, if you love Cryon, send some love, likes, hearts across the screen. One of my career highs to date has been being interviewed by Lee and Monica. But Cryon talks about dropping your karma, which karma is an unlearned lesson. It's something that we cycle through over and over and over, like beating our head against a wall until we can't take it anymore. You have the option to drop your karma and to choose something different in every moment. But it requires recognizing, oh, I actually chose to engage with a thought that's not serving me. What thought would serve me better? And you have to consciously replace it with the new thought that would serve you better. Here's the challenge. And I find that, man, the human construct really likes to know why. And if we can understand why do I feel so unworthy? What happened to me that caused me to feel like I wasn't good enough? And so if you can ask yourself that question, what will happen is your guides or your innate will take you back to a moment in the time-space continuum where that trauma happened to you. That moment where you decided that you weren't good enough. Because what happens is the body, the memory takes this like flashbulb memory of that time. So if you travel back into that moment and hold light on it, love that, just say, okay, I realized this was a point where I got messed up. I'm going to go send little Emily some love and make her feel better. And when you do that, you are bringing awareness to the point in the time-space continuum where that ripple started. And my experience in the Akashic records has been that when we travel back in time and hold light or love or intelligence on a time when we've been hurt or we've taken on a false belief system, we actually heal it. It's like we're these amazing time travelers moving back in time, and we are healing ourselves forward and backward through time. And I find for me that awareness where something's explained to me, where I'm like, oh, that makes sense why I get it. Clementine, stop it. Just lay down. It's like she's building a nest, getting all the blankets. You're not even supposed to be on that furniture over there, George. Yes, I called her Clementine and George. George is her nickname. Doesn't that make perfect sense? And Clem and George, when we're saying her whole name, putting her whole names together. All right. So back to that idea of traveling back in time. So when you notice that you are talking to yourself and saying, hey, I'm not enough, either instantly replace it with a statement that reinforces that you are enough. Or if you're like me, your human is very curious and you want to know where it came from. You ask where it came from, go back into that memory and hold light on that memory. Light in essence is intelligence, by the way. It's encoded intelligence. And the only reason that you took on a trauma false belief system is because your little self, your little person, or you don't have to necessarily be a kid. You can be an adult too. But that version of you didn't have all the information. You had limited bandwidth information. And so when we go back with love and hold light on a point in time when we have taken on a traumatic imprint, what happens is we're filling in the gaps of information, of data. It's all just data. And it heals the situation. Healing is, in essence, something that is not whole. Makes sense? Send some love likes hearts across the screen if that makes sense. All right, next question here. Lisa says, what about the opposite of that and feeling like you're too much sometimes? Oh, yeah. So many times people, like especially parents, would be like, calm down. That's too much. That's too much. I feel you there. Sometimes I might have been, not necessarily by my mom or my dad, but I definitely had friends along the way that would just be like simmer the fuck down. Right. And that can really cause us to shrink as well. There's importance in finding the delicate balance between our ego, which can be really obnoxious when we're always trying to bring all the attention on to us, versus I feel like I'm here to do something really important and I need to step out and play big, but I don't feel comfortable being seen. So see, there's two nuances there of that energy of feeling like we're too much. Okay, so let's talk about both of them. The energy of the, hey, look at me, I steal all the oxygen when I'm in the room. And the ego is just part of us that sees ourselves as separate from God. And if we feel like we need a lot of attention and we're not getting a lot of attention, it's just the human experience of saying, hey, I feel like I need a lot of love and I don't feel like I'm getting it. Maybe that being has trouble receiving love. And so they're constantly looking for more and more and more. But what the real issue is that I can't fully receive it. That may be you. If you are of the other variety that came through where you feel like, let's see, what did the guys talk about not being enough? I gotta try to remember now what they were saying. Stay curious. Thank you. Kathy says it brings me to tears and I feel even more unworthy. I just feel too emotional to get out of this hole. Everybody send Kathy some love right now. Kathy, we're sending you love, holding you up. Thank you for the vulnerability. Sometimes our unworthiness and our ego and the part of us that sees ourselves as separate from God becomes our identity. And as we're alchemizing and growing and shifting and changing and on our human experience, our journey here, and we begin to alchemize, what happens is we've got to let go of old aspects of our identity, and it can be really challenging. There's a gift within every wound that we're experiencing, and until we get the gift that's there, it's impossible to move on to the next phase. And that's why the idea of just dropping your karma and moving on, if we don't understand what the gift is within whatever part of us is wounded, what gift we're getting or what opportunity we're getting to grow, then that deficit just keeps repeating itself, and we need to figure out what the gift is at some point in time. Okay, I want to go back. I felt like my I short circuited there. There were two aspects of the not being enough. Um, the sucking all the oxygen out of the room and not being able to receive love is one of them. The second one is, oh, it's a who am I to do this? And it reminds me of it's a beautiful poem, but it's not verse. Who am I to play? Who am I to shine so bright? It's not the fear of failure that gets most of us. It's our fear of success and our fear of shining our light. Who am I to have it all? Who am I to XYZ fill in the blank? So anytime we're swinging on one side or the other of this energy of not recognizing that we are perfect in our imperfection, yeah, we're going to annoy some people because we require too much attention in their eyes. Yeah, we're going to trigger others who think that we're not doing enough because we hide out in the corner. It's part of the human experience to not get it right, not get it perfect, and be okay with that and find balance and humanity and forgiveness for ourselves as we go along the process. It's challenging, guys. Thank you all for being here and leaning into the work so dynamically, because Earth School, it's PhD level training. It's not designed for the faint of heart to come here and to be part of this experience. All right, let's tap in and grab one more question. Yeah, Jillian says, stay curious, forgiving, heart-centered, and you will heal. You will find it. And I also want to bring awareness to the energy that we get to experience here in this space. There is powerful consciousness flowing through the airwaves of being here that are healing you in these moments, that are touching your heart, touching your mind, touching your gut, healing areas where you've made decisions, and as a result of those decisions, you don't trust yourself to make powerful decisions for yourself anymore. All of this is healing, and it's all part of our experience. It's all perfect. All right, let's see. Patty says, but why are we learning all of the lessons, all of these lessons? For what reason? Because we've agreed to soul advancement. We've agreed to soul advancement, and as we are collectively learning these different lessons, what's happening is not only do we have the ability to download from the Akashic Records, but we're uploading as we're learning lessons, and our ability to heal ourselves is coming back online, and our ability to open up perspective and see things in a different way is coming back online. We are feeding intelligence to the Akash as we're going. And all of these lessons that we're learning and this intelligence that we're feeding back into the Akash is helping in the creation and establishment of the new earth, of a new civilization of humans that get to sit at the dinner table and talk about their crazy intuitive psychic experiences. And that's just one aspect. We get to invent new technology together, new medicine. We get to educate ourselves differently. We have new paradigms for relationships that allow us to take our guard down and collaborate with each other rather than compete, to deeply love each other rather than be on guard and not trust that someone's going to hurt us along the way. And why we're each individually learning these lessons, for what reason, Patty, every single person is going to have a slightly different perspective on that. So it's a great question to ask. I want each one of you to ask, why is this working for me? Why is this good? And if you keep that question in your back pocket, why is this good? Universe, show me why this is good. When some gnarly shit happened to you, okay, bad, it's bad. I can't even believe that happened. If you will keep this question in your back pocket, universe, show me why this is good. It gives you a new question that your mind will open up and seek intelligent answers for, and you will know why you're learning these lessons. You will know what the importance is. And I believe you have a right to know. And all you have to do is ask. All right. Jillian says, I have found that when we show up imperfectly perfect in our own way, sharing authentically, it helps others to feel safe. Thank you. You love my show because it's authentic, no hierarchy. Thank you. Hang on, I'm practicing receiving that in this moment. I had a little bit of a lump in my throat there. Thank you, Jill. Trees, lessons in communication. Definitely. So I just want to talk about hierarchy here, and I feel really honored that you feel that energy of no hierarchy in this space. So what my guides shared with me was that the Akashic records will actually level hierarchy here on the planet, because information, data, intelligence is the most valuable resource on our planet. And they're actually ranked. It used to be gold and oil was number one, now data. And this shift happened when Trump ran for president and his campaign hired Cambridge Analytics to collect data on the impressionables through social media, through the internet. And so much was spent on collecting this information that it shifted data into the number one position of valuable resources on this planet. And when I saw that, I'm like, well, yeah, that makes sense, because with access to all the information in the known universe, we become just so incredibly powerful. And I say every human has the ability to access the Akashic records, but I'll also cut the shit with you. Not everyone has done the work that they will actually get access, because with this level of access comes tremendous power. And unless we have undergone an initiation, a cleansing, a self-purification, a soul purification, we've cleared our karma, we know who we are, we truly love ourselves, we can't love everyone else around us. But if you do truly love yourself, you will love and see the God energy in everyone around you, which will ensure that you will only use this intelligence for your highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to you. So you've got to do the work in order to fully tap in. Yes, with great power comes great responsibility. But when we all, as this civilization continues to evolve, when we all do the work and we can tap into this level of innate intelligence, it's going to shift hierarchy on the planet. Nobody is above anyone else because we all have access to the same resource. And that truth has been hidden for a very long time in this civilization. And only few have had access to resource. But we're entering a time on our planet now where we are all going to open up that portal, open up that possibility of accessing resource again. But you got to do the work. You got to do the work to get there. All right. I thank you all so much for being here. I want to invite you that if this has served you, please share this out, because the more and more of us that put time and attention and importance on our own growth and loving and caring for each other and acknowledging that my best interest is your best interest and your best interest is my best interest, the more we rise up, the more light we bring to this planet, the more of our pinpoints of light get to illuminate and connect, and the more powerful we become. So share this out if this has served you. I love you all so much. Thank you for being here with me every single week. And I'll see you back here again next week. Don't forget to check out the Ether. I would love to welcome you inside that sacred community that will help keep you in a frequency of miracle consciousness, not just so you feel high on Wednesdays at noon Pacific after you hang out here, but you can really maintain that energy frequency throughout the week. Thank you all for being here. Bye-bye.